things that really made a difference for us were keeping it really simple and focusing on what the solution is that you're actually trying to solve. It's not about the product. The product is really important, but market saturation, how you're going to build a sustainable business, should be with you from day one. Now we can talk about the people. So after the idea stage, you're probably going to need other people that are going to come and help you build this thing, right? Because as a founder, you can only do so much, and there's different ways that you can leverage. You can leverage with money, which is capital. You can leverage with people, which is scale. So if you bring people on, they can help you build your business. So with people, though, we learned a few lessons in the last 3 years since we were first getting started. So the first lesson that we learned is that people disappoint. And when I this is Lloyd Carbo, you know, I'm from Ohio and I came up to Michigan, and this was back in, I think I started in 2001, and I was getting all this flack from Ohio State and Michigan. And, you know, we were expecting like a bunch of big wins, and, you know, I'm not saying anything about Lloyd Carbo as a person, but we lost 6 out of the 7 games to Ohio State, and I was disappointed with that. And the same thing is true in your company. You're going to get all these disappointing things that are going to happen to you, right? So, for example, your business partners are inevitably probably going to quit.
I'm still good.
Okay, and your employees are going to quit. And in the very beginning stages, there's going to be a lot of negative pressure around what you're doing from family, from friends, from whoever. Because you're going out and you're doing something that's really risky. You're going and you're building a company. And it's a lot less safe than going and getting a job or, you know, finishing your education or whatever it is that you could be doing. And you're also going to get a lot of negative pressure from your customers. Because you're going to have a beta product that's not going to be very good. People aren't going to want to use it. And they're going to be telling you, this isn't what I want. And your job is to look past all of that and say, I'm not going to let my first 10 reasons that I could stop doing this get in the way, and I'm going to go past those 10 reasons. Because the truth of the matter is, until you get past those first 10 reasons to quit, you actually don't even know if this is something that is going to work. So don't stop at the 10-yard line. Try to get it to, you know, 50 or 60-yard line and see if this is going to make sense.
Yep. We'll have a mountain analogy later in the presentation. That was the football. So, okay, people first. So people disappoint, but ultimately you're working with people, for people. And, you know, our team is the #1 asset we have in our company. We love our product and we love our customers, but, you know, when you're building a company, you spend all day with these people. They sleep at your office. You share meals with them. You share time with them. And, you know, you want to make sure that you care as much about the people you work with as you do about your idea and your vision. Because your idea and vision is empty without the people that build it. You know, like Verdi was saying, as a founder, you can't possibly build it on your own. You can't start a movement with one person. So we reward our employees. We try and, actually no, employees are the wrong word. We don't really consider them employees. They're really friends first, and then employees second, and we create that sort of close connection between everyone that we work with.
Yeah, and I think on that too, it's like, just one thing too, I think we learned along the way is the classic, like, you have to give in order to receive. But usually, like, if you give something up, you'll get it back 10 times in return. So if you give up cash, or if you give up equity, or if you give up your time, it'll always come back to you. And, you know, you need to be, at least what we learned, is that being judicious about those decisions is the tactical, on-the-ground battlefield, you know, day-to-day that you need to deal with. But in reality, people need to be rewarded. And usually a good rule of thumb is, like, if I was in this person's shoes, what would I want? And that seems to work pretty well. So in our company, for example, every single person is a stockholder. You know, we have parties like at least once a month, usually typically more. We have like hackathons and things where people come in for 24, 48 hours. We're really lax on hours in the office. We let people do what they want, but we make sure that they adhere to the deadlines, but they can decide how they want to organize their life to meet those deadlines.
Yeah, everyone works differently at your company, and you know, when you force people to work from 9 to 5, they're not going to be the most productive. You want to let them sort of work the way they want to.
So resources is the third topic. So we covered ideas, we covered people, which is kind of the second. The first stage I would say is just the idea, and the second stage is who's going to help you and how you're going to build your team. And the third stage is resources. What kind of capital are you going to have to achieve this? And we have a lot to talk about with that. So this is money does not equal results. So this is Webvan. This is a pretty classic story. This company raised more money than any other .com company in history. They raised $1.2 billion. We raised $1.2 million. So they raised 1,000 times more money than we did. And they were also 3 years old. They went out of business, and we're 3 years old, and we're still here. So that just gives you some perspective that money does not equal results. So if you do raise capital, and I'm not saying that that's not necessarily the right thing to do for every business here, but it is one way of leverage. Money does not equal results. You might be tempted to say, if I just pump a bunch of cash into this thing, this is exactly what I'm going to get. But in reality, people are what create results. And so you might be tempted to, just trust that things are going on, but you really need to be actively involved in the day-to-day operations of what's going on. You need to be following up with people, making sure that people are meeting deadlines, making sure that every single person on the team is truly an A player, not a B player at all. If people are a B player, try to bring them up to an A player. If people are a C player, maybe they're not the right person to have in the company. Money does not equal results. And also be thinking about that if you do decide that going out to raise money is something that sounds interesting to you, because it's not necessarily going to take you from point A to point B. At Own, for example, we raised quite a bit of money. I think in the first month or two, we spent a lot of that capital, and not very judiciously. And we thought, we're going to get the scenic view, and we're going to get office administrator, and all these different things. And at the end of the day, a lot of those things ended up working out. But some of them, if we actually stepped back for a second and thought we're still going to make every dollar count, and we're going to be as scrappy as we were when we had no money at all, we were working out of our homes and working out of the tech arm, I think things would have been even better than they are right now. So these are just things to be thinking about if you end up going that way.
So good design is good business. So technology is about 20 years old. Oh, let me explain this image first. So this is an iPhone, an older version. This is the calculator app. And actually we have next to it is a brown calculator designed around the 60s by Dieter Rams. He's a well-known industrial designer. And what you see here is that, the way you create a product that has intrigue and value that people want is primarily through design. And we don't just think about design as how it looks, but how it functions. We think about design as what it says, and we think about design as how it's produced. So the simplicity, the sustainability. And so when we set out to build a point-of-sale system, we used a reductive approach. We got rid of a lot of the features that come on point-of-sale systems because they're useless. And we said we need a design that makes people happy, that makes people smile, that makes their lives easier. And so we started from there, and that's what our customers notice. They notice that the way something feels and the way you experience it just has an emotional feeling that is actually quantifiable because you sell more systems through a good design approach. So that's why one of the reasons in our system we keep a simple color palette, really basic things, the fonts you choose, all of that leads into a good design and a good business ethos. And you have to build that into the core of your company. Just like you don't skimp on technology, you don't skimp on design, and you don't skimp on your people, because these all add up to value.
Yeah. So why wait? So when we first got started, it was as I kind of mentioned, it was just out of our homes. We had no money at the time, and we basically were taking on all the opportunities to raise money through the university. Anybody that was willing to help join our cause, we were talking to them saying, look, we're going to change the cash register to the point of sale. It's ripe for disruption. Come help us out. And it was really just the basic steps, like what can I do today to go from here to here that got us started. And I think Jim Collins has this kind of analogy in Good to Great where he says it's like a flywheel. I think it makes a lot of sense where, if you imagine this enormous flywheel, it takes all your energy to just move it just a little bit at the very beginning. And as you start pushing it and pushing it and pushing it, the wheel starts to take on momentum. And as time goes on, it becomes easier and easier and easier for the wheel to push. And eventually, the wheel starts spinning on its own momentum.
Yeah, definitely. And it's just, you charge yourself with a mission when you build a company, just like, so when they built the Golden Gate Bridge, it was impossible. They said it couldn't be done. This was in the 1830s. And they actually built it during the Great Depression in the 30s. They finished the bridge in 1937. So, there's no good time to start something. The best time to start is as soon as possible. And that's sort of the idea. Even if everything around you is saying no, you need to keep on saying yes.
Yeah, you never know where it will go. I think, when we first got started, it was just a point-of-sale system in the cloud. We had no idea that the tablets were going to be coming out. And then once we incorporated the tablet in, we had no idea that social media was going to be a piece at the very beginning that was going to be connected to this. And it's just getting started that allows you to be on the field playing the game as opposed to, watching the game. You want to be on the field playing the game if you're gonna go build a product or build a business or build a company. Cool. All right. Well, with that, I think that is the end of the presentation. We're happy to take any questions that anybody has for us.